Hi, I'm Brooke Erdman, and today I'm talking to Natasha, who's going to share with us her success with the carnivore way of eating. Hi, Natasha, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you so much for taking the time to share with us what it's been like for you and what has it been like for you with the carnivore diet.
I mean, it has changed my life completely. It saved me from quite a rough few years, I have to say.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. What was going on for you before, and what was your diet like before?
So growing up, I never really had any health problems. I was very fortunate with that. And I just ate the normal standard diet, you know, what was considered good. Um, but my health problems, they started in 2015, so a few years ago. And looking back, I pinpointed now that it's probably a combination of stress and poor gut health. I didn't know at the time though. But I just started working as a personal trainer. I was doing incredibly long hours, 5 a.m. wake ups, 10 p.m. come home every day. Um, and I was competing as an athlete at the time as well. And I just remember waking up one morning and thinking, I just can't do this. I'm just so tired. And that really stuck out to me. And the week after I had that thought, I got massively bloated. Like it was like 9 months pregnant every time I ate. Really painful. And then that kind of built over a few months. The bloating just got worse. Every time I ate, even if I drank water, I'd get horrific bloating. And then fatigue kicked in. So every time I ate, I had to sleep, even for like 20 minutes. I'd be at work in between clients and I'd just have to sleep. Um, and then just energy tanked. I couldn't do any exercise. And then joint pain started, and I had I have hip arthritis, but I also started getting swelling elsewhere. Um, that's just the symptoms I can remember. I went to the GP, the doctor, a few times, but unfortunately, for about a year, they told me it was all in my head and there was nothing wrong with me. And even when I ended up in A&E with stomach pain, like couldn't function stomach pain, they just told me it's in your head. There's nothing wrong with you.
It's all in your head. It sounded like it was in your gut.
Yeah, yeah. They did tell me I had IBS, but I tried every diet they told me to, and it got worse. I had food intolerance tests done where every food would come back as red. So I couldn't eat anything apart from cod, I think, at one point. And I was like, what am I meant to eat? um, so that went on for years actually, and I ended up swapping doctors twice, and it was only the third doctor that actually I felt like listened to my problem and told me, yeah, you might have something going on. So I started having scans and scopes and things. Um, and then I also no, that was yeah 2015. So then 2018, I decided to work with a nutritionist, a private nutritionist, and he was the first person who actually said, "Oh, what are you eating? Maybe for arthritis, you should think about keto." So I started eating keto, and I did feel better, slightly better. The bloating kind of calmed down a little bit, but I was just still so tired. Looking back, I probably wasn't eating enough fat, um, compared to how I eat now. Um, and he also told me to start taking some HCl supplement to heal my gut. Now, around that time, I got diagnosed with potential rheumatoid arthritis and chronic fatigue. Now, I've not actually ever had an official diagnosis for it, but all the scans did show elevated markers and inflammation of the wrists. But I switched to carnivore before they could actually put me on any medication because they had suggested that, but I said as a 20-something-year-old going down that route, I don't want medication. And then around that time as well, I got told I need a hip replacement. And I said, I do not want a hip replacement at 26, 27 years old. So I was like, no, I'm going to do this myself. So I spoke to Stephanie Pearson, the keto coach. This was years ago. And she was just like, oh, maybe it's the vegetables. I was like, okay. And I found the Joe Rogan and ShawnBaker podcast, which I think everyone finds. And I listened to that and I thought it was ridiculous at first, honestly. I was like, why can vegetables be causing such a problem? And then I kind of delved into that world, you know, one video leads to another, leads to 20. And then I saw Michaela Peterson, her interview. I was like, okay, I'll try it. So I tried it back in, that was, the end of December 2018. Within 3 days, I felt my mood just lift. It was amazing. I remember texting my mum and saying, oh, this is what actually feeling happy feels like I'm not in chronic pain. And that was just in 3 days.
So in those 3 days, let me just ask you, you just dropped all the plants and you were just eating meat. You were eating beef?
I can't remember exactly, but I presume I was eating just ground beef and fat, because that's what everyone seemed to be eating on the carnivore. So just ground beef, and I think probably eggs and salmon at that time as well.
Those first few days you were eating those 3 things. Okay.
Yeah. I think I did eat dairy back then. I don't anymore. So maybe butter as well, but I can't remember.
So basically you just dropped the plants.
Yeah. And that made such a difference within a few days. So that was brilliant. And then I've just been, since then, my symptoms have generally been getting better. Like my bloating went away within a couple of weeks to months. And I did look 9 months pregnant for about a year of my life. So just getting that back was brilliant. The only problem I had kind of lingering was the fatigue. I was just always tired. It was better on carnivore. Can I
ask you about your bowels during that time? The IBS.
Yeah, so I did have IBS problems with keto. And they got better, but not 100%. And then on carnivore, I think I had that initial few weeks of digestive, loose stool and everything. But yeah, it did improve again. Unfortunately, though, at the end of 2019, I got a massive bout of food poisoning.
Oh.
So that just ruined all my digestive progress I'd made.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. And then since then, I've just been kind of tweaking the carnivore diet to suit me and to get my fatigue lifted. And now I know that I can't do ground beef anymore, because I do react quite badly to it, and I can't do dairy.
So your reaction to ground beef, is that a histamine reaction, you think?
I think so. Mm-hmm. I think so. You just, after eating it, I just get really tired and I just have to sleep.
But if you eat fresh cut beef, it doesn't have the same effect.
It doesn't have any effect, no.
But can I ask you, if you ate beef that was like aged or in the refrigerator or leftover or something, would you?
I think because when I was cooking before, I'd make it and then keep it in kind of like meal prep. So it probably was in the fridge for a day or so, or even longer. And also back then I didn't really think about, I got the meat from the supermarket, whereas now I go to the butcher and I get grass fed, and I feel much better doing that. So maybe if back then, if I had got grass fed beef mince or whatever, it would be different.
And now do you just eat grass fed beef from the butcher?
Yeah. So in April last year, I decided to reach out to Paleo Medicina in Hungary.
Mhm.
And I said, I still have some fatigue. Unfortunately, back in 2016, 17, I also lost my menstrual cycle. So I'm trying to get that back. And so I reached out to them, and I had specific problems to address, and they really recommend grass-fed. They recommend quality and very high fat as well. So
And
I've
they
been
also recommend a lot of organ meat. Is that correct?
yeah, brain or bone marrow and liver. So liver I used to hate, but now I love it. And bone marrow, I have that pretty much every day as well.
So do you have liver every day or an organ?
Yeah, nearly every day.
Mhm.
Some days I tend to crave it, so I
Mhm.
make sure I have it then. Other days I prefer having a steak.
Uh-huh. So with with the people from Hungary, when you adjusted the diet to the recommendations, did you see an immediate relief or difference, or did it take a while?
Yeah, so when I started, they recommend no exercise, be very nice to yourself in the transition process. And I didn't think it would be any different to transitioning to carnivore in the first place. But for 6 weeks, I was asleep for basically 6 weeks. I'd wake up, do my client, and then had to sleep again. And energy was really, really bad in the 6 weeks. Luckily, well, I say luckily, I don't. It was lockdown here for us, the first lockdown, so I didn't have to go anywhere or commute to work or anything like that. But then after the 6 weeks, I actually felt myself getting stronger again, and now I don't have any of the fatigue that I used to have. And even after I eat, I don't have any of the tiredness or well, any of the problems really that I used to have now.
So a great healing happened with your gut, it sounds
Yeah,
like. And
definitely.
what is the fat proportion that you're eating? So you'd eat some steak and some organ meat and some fat.
Yeah, so I eat twice a day. And my first meal in the morning tends to be liver and some bone marrow or suet, or a little bit of meat, um, and then some. I always add fat, so I'm probably around 80% fat at the moment on my macros. They do ask you to weigh your food initially, just to get used to the amount of food that I'm eating. So yeah, for every 100 grams of meat, you have to add 35 grams of fat. That's like their rule.
And the
And then
fat that you're choosing is usually, did you say suet?
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, I really like it.
Yeah.
I never thought I would, but now I can. I can either cook it or just eat it raw, and
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Uh-huh.
and then
Okay, so
yeah, that,
breakfast is so, and then your next meal after breakfast is
again just repeat of the same. So it's a steak and suet. I do occasionally, have salmon. Paleo Medicina say not to have the salmon or chicken. They like ruminant meat just because of the quality of the meat. But I do occasionally have it.
so
And
you eat
then
twice a day, did you say?
twice a day, yeah. When I first started carnivore as well, I don't know whether this caused some of my problems. When I first switched carnivore, I did a lot of fasting straight away because I saw all these people eating OMAD or twice a day or even extended fasting. And I was like, oh, I should do that because I want to look like them or I
Right.
want to feel better. So I did one meal a day for a good 4 or 5 months. And then it worked at the start and then it stopped working. And I was like, okay, maybe I should do extended fasting. And so I tried doing 2 or 3 day fasts and it worked and then it stopped working. So my body kind of gets used to a way of doing something and then it just shuts down and says, no, this isn't the way for you anymore.
Mhm. And when you were doing that fasting, were you losing weight?
No, actually. Um, it's only, I've never been overweight, but as a personal trainer, I've also never had a full six-pack or anything like that, even no matter how hard I've tried. It's only since going on the Hungary protocol, the Hungary clinic protocol, that I did drop weight, and I think that was more inflammation rather than dropping fat loss, fat loss or weight loss. Everything feels lighter now, so my joints feel lighter. So maybe just swelling from that has gone. Since April, I've probably lost around 8 kilos, but I don't necessarily, that wasn't an aim. Definitely wasn't an aim.
What did they tell you from Paleo Mendocino? What were the things that they told you about what was going on with you?
So yeah, they said I have gut issues, leaky gut, and then that combined with a high stressful lifestyle it's just triggered an autoimmune reaction, and then the lack of my cycle as well. That's just it could have been because of stress that I was under a few years ago that my body just said no, or it could be a side effect of the autoimmunity.
Has that returned?
Not yet, but I'm now every month I'm getting symptoms back.
Good, very good.
Yeah, so they just say it can take time. If you miss one cycle, it can take 2 to come back. So I've missed 3 years of cycle, so it could take another few years to come back. But I don't want to do it with medication. I want to do it with healing. So
it's the great build-up.
Yes.
You're building up. Well, that sounds like you're well on your way towards getting stronger and stronger and regaining all your health.
Yeah, I really hope so. Really hope so.
And so what are you eating? You told me what you're eating now, but are you drinking coffee? Are you eating any dairy food? You said, are you eating eggs?
So I wasn't, I had probably last year, I started reacting to eggs, and I thought, oh, maybe it's the egg whites. So I stopped having eggs for a bit, but I just love eggs. So I just they crept back in. And then when I started with Hungary, they said no eggs for at least, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. And I stuck to it this time. But now I can eat them, which is amazing. Dairy and coffee, I was having that on keto and on when I started carnivore as well. I'd also take caffeine powder before a workout, because obviously I was ignoring how tired I was and trying to force 5 a.m. workouts, which is not recommended if you're under a lot of stress already. I cut out coffee at the beginning of last year, and then I cut out dairy probably about 1.5 years ago as well. And I cut out dairy for about 2 months, and then I remember eating some, because it's very addictive for me. I remember having a bit of a cheese binge, and my joint pain was just horrific. Like my toes swelled up. I couldn't walk properly for a good, 3-4 days. And my mood, I know now that as soon as I have dairy, just my mood drops. I just get so low with dairy. I avoid. I love it, but I can't have it.
Even butter?
No, I don't. I just don't tend to. I prefer having like bone marrow and stuff like that. So I don't feel the need for butter anymore.
And maybe that will change. I'll change again.
Maybe.
Like it has for eggs.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, so now you're really eating simple carnivore meat.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny when people say, oh, you're eating really restrictive, maybe you want to add in this. But I actually love my diet. I don't think I'll ever get bored of it.
Instead of strict.
Yeah, simple. Yeah, simple, not strict. Yeah, I like that.
Because it is pretty simple. You're just eating mostly ruminants.
Yeah, ruminants, and then a bit of salmon, bit of bacon sneaks in. When I can get quality, I don't like buying supermarket stuff because everything has sugar in now.
Do you eat things like kidneys and sweetbreads and or different organs besides liver?
Yeah, I've tried sweetbreads. I just don't know whether I cooked it wrong, but it wasn't great. If I learned how to cook them, I'm open to trying everything. I never thought I'd like liver, and I do now. So I'm always open to trying. Just need
Did
to
you
learn.
go to Hungary and work
No,
with?
I didn't. I just had an online consultation with them. They were great. You know, very clear with what they say. Do this, and you'll feel better. And it's true. Yeah.
And do you see a physician now? Still?
No, every 6 weeks I get a phone call from my doctor telling me that my cholesterol's too high and I should be on statins. But every time I just ignore them. um, all the clinics, the specialists I was seeing for my rheumatoid and osteo and for the hormone team as well, they disagree with the diet. A couple of people find it interesting to to hear about it, but the last appointment I had with the endocrine team, the NHS is brilliant. I'll throw that out there, but for me, they've not really done that well. The last appointment I had with the endocrine team, they told me to eat carbs and stop exercising, and that's their advice for getting the hormone health back.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, thanks.
And what does Paleo Medicina say about the menses, about the hormone cycle? They just
They
encourage
said,
you to keep going.
yeah, keep going, eat fat, eat that high fat ratio, get the protein.
Yeah.
Protein's quite low for what they recommend. And then obviously with exercise, don't stress yourself. I mean, I exercise now. I do my thing, but compared to what I used to do in the gym, Olympic weightlifting and everything like that, I'm not interested in that anymore. It's like my body's realized what it wants to do. So now I do a lot of body weight work, handstand work, animal flow. I'm an animal flow instructor now as well. So that kind of movement-based training combined with a calmer diet, I think that's what my body wants.
Nice. And can you think of other benefits or symptoms or changes you've noticed, like in your skin or your hair or your, well, I know you mentioned your mood.
Yeah, no, my mood, 100%. I think I used to be a lot more emotional than I am now. I'm quite calm most days, um, quite calm now, and I just feel a lot more like myself. It sounds very cliche, but since going carnivore, I do feel like I'm getting back to how I should feel. I think because I had such pain and bloating for so long that I mean, the thing with chronic pain, it really wears you down.
Yeah.
So if you have, 3-4 years of chronic pain, and there's some people that live with it for 20-30 years, couldn't imagine doing that. I feel, yeah, more like myself now, which is amazing. My skin, I've never had bad skin, luckily. I thank my parents for that. But I don't use any products now. Since speaking with Hungary, I'm very careful about what I put on my skin. I use tallow moisturizer. I make my own. I don't use shampoo anymore. Every little product I try and make it as nice to my body as I can, and yeah, I feel really good.
Nice. Do you take any supplements?
No, when I first started carnivore, I'd hear everyone talking about, oh, magnesium. You need to take electrolytes, and when I did fasting, especially the extended fast, I did take the electrolytes that they recommend. But now I don't really feel I need to. I love salt, so I'll add salt onto everything. But even the last week, I've not wanted salt even. So I just, if I don't want it, I don't have it.
On your beef, even?
Yeah, this week I haven't wanted it, and I felt fine. So maybe next week I'll have it.
And you're sleeping. How's your sleeping?
Yeah, sleep is generally perfect. Really good. it's only interestingly, if I eat too much protein, I don't sleep very well. I have to keep my ratios very high fat, 2-to-1, 3-to-1 ratio. And also with my meal timings, I can't eat before bed. I learned that. It's taken me a long time to realize that, but now I eat probably my last meal around 2 o'clock, and then I don't eat for the rest of the day, and I sleep a lot better not eating before bed.
It sounds like something almost you pushed as most of us do in life, and almost it sounds like something just broke. Like all of a sudden your gut just reached a certain point, and then it just broke, and things went really bad fast after that.
Yeah, I don't know if you've heard the phrase, if you don't listen to your body's whispers, you're going to hear it scream.
Yeah.
I heard that phrase last year, and I was like, yes, that's what happened to me. I think,
especially with that little message that you recalled about, gosh, I just can't do this, when you woke up one morning, and it was shortly after that everything cascaded.
Yeah, it was literally the week after, because I remember that day very vividly. I had to wake up at I think 4 a.m. to get up into North England to compete, and I had someone to come pick me up, and I overslept, and I never oversleep. And I was lying in bed, and I just thought, I can't. Like I'm like tired, like to the core, kind of tired.
Yeah.
And then literally the day after, that's when the bloating started. So it's really, really interesting. I mean, I'm always quite I'd say perfectionist. So it's been years of me kind of under stress from that. Then also I changed career, a new personal trainer, you want to get clients, you're trying to figure out who you are and, in a new place. I just think it got too much.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're finding your way back, or have found your way back, and getting stronger all the time.
No.
And I'm glad you sought out even more specific help in the carnivorse.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people have such great benefit with just eating meat, and just kind of eat all the meats and you'll feel great.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. Like I have clients who are carnivore now as well, or keto carnivore, and they're doing brilliant. They eat cheese, they eat bacon every day, all day, and they feel great. They're losing weight, they're reversing migraines, they're off medication, and that's great. But I think in the carnivore world, you have to be careful to actually listen to your own body still, and don't follow everyone else. You still have to be on your own journey, even if it takes 20 years.
And I think IBS is particularly problematic, because I think it sort of opens the floodgates, and through your gut lining and all kinds of things, wreaks all kinds of havoc.
Yeah.
So I think it just takes even longer for when your gut has gotten that bad.
Yeah.
Or that hurt, to really heal and recover.
Yeah, and looking back, I think potentially if I could go back and redo carnivore again, and I did it differently, and if I didn't eat the ground beef, if I just ate ribeyes with fat and I added loads of fat, maybe I would have had a different journey.
Well, maybe, sure. I mean, if you had started months before you even had that message about, I can't do this anymore. I mean, so believe me, I think about those things all the time. And there's so much suffering. People have suffered so much we've all been hoodwinked along the way with
definitely
how we eat.
Well, I mean, if you speak to doctors now, the advice they're giving people who are, really struggling, like telling me I need a hip replacement, or, when Like when one of the other symptoms I had was Raynaud's in the fingers as well. That's, I mean, that's reversed now. But telling someone, oh, you'll never be able to fix it,
Yeah.
or you should just take this medication.
Yeah.
People are really struggling, and then they just take medication, and often it doesn't do anything. I think that's,
Well, and it might do something for that symptom and cause them 10 more. And in the meantime, you have a zillion other things that go awry because we don't back up.
exactly.
We don't back up far enough to even consider something so crazy as to just eat meat.
Yeah, but it's I mean, it's crazy in itself that eating meat is crazy, because that's what humans are designed to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah, just eating meat, that's a real struggle. But when I used to eat donuts or something and eat a whole box of them because I had no self-control, that's okay. That's okay. But now I'm eating steak at 7 a.m. Oh no,
Yeah.
no, you're gonna have a heart attack. Okay.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, very good. I'm really glad that you backed up and went a different way.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks. Thanks for sharing your story.
You're welcome. Thank you for letting me share.
Yeah. And carry on. Wish you all the best.
Thank you very much. Thank you. You too.